In a lake, what is the last thing you would want to catch while fishing? A piece of trash? A predatory fish? Or a rat? But according to local stories, a fisherman on the south shore of Lake Tahoe in the United States once pulled up a perfectly preserved human body, and some even say it was a hand with only 3 fingers. This chilling discovery sparked endless speculation about Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe is the 2nd deepest lake in the U.S. and the 17th deepest in the world, with a depth of 501 meters or 1,643 feet. It stretches 35 kilometers in length and is up to 19 kilometers wide. Long ago, the Washoe Native American tribe lived in this area. They called the lake Taga, meaning edge of the lake. When white explorers arrived, they kept only the first part of the name, Tahoe. But why would this peaceful lake be connected to human remains? It's said that between the 1920s and 1950s, the American Mafia used the south shore of Lake Tahoe as a secret place to dispose of bodies. Some believe hundreds of corpses lie at the bottom, preserved by the lake's icy waters, and fishermen have even called the south shore an underwater graveyard. In the movie The Godfather Part 2, there is a scene filmed at Lake Tahoe where a mafia execution takes place on a boat. Even more bizarre, some people believe the lake hides a creature called Tahoe Tessie, its name inspired by the Loch Ness monster Nessie. The legend appears in the oral history of the Washoe people. In 1984, the San Francisco Chronicle reported that 2 local residents saw a mysterious animal about 5.1 meters long on the west shore. Its back arched above the water, and it swam like a whale. Even earlier, in 1982, 2 police officers claimed to have seen it in the lake. There's also another mystery. Some drowning victims from Lake Tahoe have been found in Pyramid Lake 80 kilometers away. This led to the theory that the 2 lakes are connected by an underground river system. It's said that famous oceanographer Jacques Cousteau dived into Lake Tahoe in the 1970s to investigate. When he surfaced, he reportedly said only one sentence: "The world is not ready to know what's down there." Whether he truly said this is uncertain, but one thing is certain: you must be extra cautious in this lake. One sunny morning, Eric Osinski took his son fishing, hoping to catch some trout. They soon landed 2 fish, but while adjusting the net, one slipped away and the other broke the line. Moments later, the line went tight again. When they reeled it in, it wasn't a fish at all, but a strange creature. It looked like something out of a sci-fi movie, about 60 centimeters long, with a funnel-shaped mouth full of sharp teeth. Later they learned it was a sea lamprey, a parasitic animal that attaches to other fish and drinks their blood. It's known as a prehistoric vampire, one of the oldest vertebrates alive today. Sea lampreys have greatly affected local fish populations. Authorities have released a special chemical that kills only lampreys without harming other animals, hoping to gradually eliminate these tooth-bearing parasites. Even so, Lake Champlain is still a popular spot for visitors, though most people keep their distance from the ancient vampires lurking below. Lake Kivu, calm on the surface, threatens the lives of 2 million people. It sits in Central Africa, half in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and half in Rwanda, with a maximum depth of 480 meters. A massive fault line beneath it and nearby volcanic activity constantly release carbon dioxide and methane gas into the lakebed, yet the lake's waters hardly circulate to release them. If a volcanic eruption or earthquake disturbs it, the gas could burst out like an open soda can, causing an underwater explosion or a deadly suffocating cloud. Scientists believe it holds the largest amount of trapped gas of any lake on Earth. The Rwandan government has built a power plant on the lake to extract methane for electricity, both reducing pressure in the lakebed and supplying energy to cities. They hope these efforts will make this dangerous lake a bit safer. Lakes in nature can inspire awe and also hide deadly threats. Behind every beautiful lake may be a dark side unknown to most. If you decide to visit these lakes, weigh the risks, prepare yourself, and be ready to face the real dangers they may bring. We are now at a lake in the Caribbean. First, a word of warning: don't just avoid swimming, don't even put your hand in the water. This is the boiling lake. As the name suggests, its water temperature reaches 82 to 92 degrees Celsius, or 180 to 198 degrees Fahrenheit. It lies in Morne-Trois-Pitons National Park in Dominica, in an active volcanic zone, on the slopes near Morne Volcano. The park covers about 7,000 hectares, including 5 of the island's 9 volcanoes and dozens of hot springs and geothermal vents. The boiling lake is actually a volcanic fissure filled with water. The lake bed releases hot gases and sometimes even magma. Unless you want to be cooked, you should never try to swim in it. In 2007, American explorer and filmmaker George Carunis became the first person to cross above the boiling lake, walking over it on a rope, an event featured in the documentary Angry Planet. Geothermal activity at the bottom is unstable. In 2006, gas output was low. By early 2009, the lake was almost fully boiling. Its gray-blue color comes from dissolved minerals and gases. Hot steam constantly rises, covering the surface in a white mist. The boiling lake measures about 60 by 75 meters, making it the second largest hot lake in the world, after Frying Pan Lake in New Zealand. It was discovered in 1870 by British explorers Edmund Watt and Henry Nichols. They measured a depth of about 60 meters, but today most believe it is around 15 meters, likely due to volcanic activity changing its depth. In 1980, the lake almost disappeared, erupting into a boiling fountain. In 2004, another eruption dropped the water level by 10 meters, lasting 5 months, then refilling in just 1 day. To see the lake in person, you must hike 13 kilometers uphill from the nearest road, passing sulfur springs and boiling mud pools, and you should be accompanied by a professional guide. According to legend, Bronno Lake will swallow anyone who approaches with bad intent. The first victim, they say, was a Scandinavian chief. While crossing with his loot, a monster burst from the water, destroyed his boat, and swallowed everyone aboard. A Mongol commander is said to have met the same fate. During World War II, a German plane crashed into the lake and vanished. Since then, locals have treated it as forbidden, and fear has spread among the villages. In 1992, a local claimed to see a 5-meter-long creature shaped like an ancient dinosaur lying on the shore. In 2001, a girl was reportedly taken by the lake monster in front of her parents and never returned. A small boat once drifted back to shore, its passengers all dead, faces twisted in terror. Scientists found that the stories were not entirely invented, but may have been exaggerated by a local businessman to attract tourists. The lake is 43 meters deep, too small to support a large predator, and it lacks enough food for such an animal. In an experiment, scientists dropped a small firework into the water. No monster appeared, but a strong smell of hydrogen sulfide rose from the surface. Methane and hydrogen sulfide gas build up at the bottom. When disturbed, they can escape in large amounts, creating bubbles, whirlpools, or brief eruptions, which from the shore can look like a giant mouth breaking the surface. These gases can also cause dizziness, hallucinations, or fainting, making people more likely to believe in the monster legend. The bottom is uneven, and the real depth may be over 60 meters. With 5 meters of mud covering it, it is not a safe place to swim or approach. Lake Nyos, known as the lake that killed 1,000 people, is in Cameroon near the Nigerian border. It covers only 1.6 square kilometers, but is 209 meters deep. It formed about 400 years ago from volcanic activity, and carbon dioxide has been building up at its bottom. On August 21, 1986, gas suddenly erupted from the lake, sending a 25-meter-high wave and releasing huge amounts of carbon dioxide, killing 1,746 people and over 3,500 animals in minutes. The gas concentration reached over 30%, compared to a normal 0.4%. Heavier than air, it spread along the ground, causing people and animals to lose consciousness and suffocate. After the disaster, the lake water turned reddish-brown from oxidized iron. Today, the lake still accumulates about 5 million cubic meters of carbon dioxide each year, with the risk of another eruption. Pipes now draw gas from the bottom to release it slowly, reducing the danger to nearby residents. The legendary Death Lake in Sicily is said to contain sulfuric acid strong enough to dissolve a body in hours. But this lake is mostly an urban myth. Photos online are actually from geothermal pools in Yellowstone, USA. The real inspiration is Lake Noto in Sicily. Its boiling water came from carbon dioxide, not acid. It was small, less than 5 meters deep, and in the late 20th century it was drained and turned into a natural gas site. The Death Lake story is a mix of fact and imagination. In Kazakhstan, there is a lake called Cursed. A century ago, A man reportedly drowned his bride here, and strange events followed. One elder recalled swimming there as a boy. Despite warnings, the moment he stepped in, he struggled to breathe, his limbs felt heavy, and he lost consciousness. 2 weeks later, he was found back in the village, with no memory of what happened. Scientists believe the lake may contain cyanide and hydrogen sulfide from a nearby mercury mine. It stays icy cold year-round because its shape traps ancient glacial water. The lake is 100 meters long and 60 meters wide, but no one knows its true depth. Divers often feel unwell and cannot measure it. Its high salt content means little life exists, apart from green algae and purple bacteria that produce hydrogen sulfide. Even tiny amounts can cause dizziness, memory loss, and hallucinations, perhaps explaining the strange experiences reported here.